UFC 318, and we had the last fight of the illustrious career of Dustin Poirier. What were your main thoughts about the fight?
So I think going into this, I mean, just to be on the more sentimental side, I think both of us are big Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier fans. So I think one of the nature of like watching combat sports where you see two of your favorites go against each other is like, well, crap. It sucks that both of them could win, both of them have to lose. Who knows how this is going to go? So given like how all this was kind of set up anyways, I don't think there was going to be like a quote unquote greatest happy ending outcome for everyone just inherently, I think. Um but I think what we got for what it's worth was pretty good under the circumstances and context that we know personally. Um as for like predicting the fight itself, I think like going into it, I mean, just kind of matchup wise, there was no way it wasn't going to at least be fun. Even if like I definitely thought Poirier was more past it than Holloway, and that proved out to be the reality. Poirier looked pretty much nearly done, but he still kind of got through things just with enough craft and grit to like make things pretty competitive. I feel like he was about the same that he looked in versus Makachev personally.
I feel
Um,
I feel like he looked physically a bit worse, maybe.
yeah, I mean it's
Obviously, this is
close, but
a yeah. The striking looked sharper for Dustin here. Didn't look like anywhere close to his prime, but
mhm.
obviously, I feel like, and I've said this like a million times, but I feel like he was like not only worried about the takedown in the Mahachev fight, but he was also like consciously paring down his
Yeah,
game.
and
He was
without and without like considering how like round one went, so it's kind of hard to tell in that fight sometimes, like how much of it was speed and how much of it was
yeah,
like
and
genuine decline.
that's a thing that I talked about in my podcast earlier this week is that Dustin always has been like a slow starter defensively, and he has masked that being a fast starter offensively.
Hmm.
But now that he has lost a bit of speed, the slow start in the defense has been a lot more notorious. I think we saw that like he getting his ass kicked in the first round against Makhachev
Hmm.
and in the first round against Max, and then he actually like settled down and looked a lot better.
Dustin's always been an interesting fighter because he's like one of those guys who like he'll throw like the offensive kid at you earlier despite his defensive flaws, but he kind of is good at figuring things out and kind of gets good at like being more effective as something goes on. But he sort of has to figure it out sometimes.
Yeah, going back because Dr. Jones makes a point that I was exactly about to make is that you said like Dustin looked done, but done in the sense of fighting this level of opponents, right?
Yeah.
He could still like completely hang if he was fighting like a lower level of opposition. If he was fighting like the kind of dude that some of like some action fights near his age, like for example, like the kind of fighters that Drew Dover or Michael Johnson are fighting nowadays, like Dustin could still fight those.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem is that he's not fighting those; he's fighting like
Yeah.
monsters.
And it's still a testament to him that like he made the last two fights of his career as competitive as he did. It
Yeah, and
really.
he still managed to do some stuff happen. So that was like nice to see for sure.
Mhm.
Like I'm glad that he got to like retire looking like this and not like,
Mhm.
for example, imagine if someone anywhere in the world like likes Colby Covington and you you can endure watching him look like he does right now. Like you could say like you could maybe say that the Colby was very overrated at one point. Yeah, probably, but he's like insanely watched compared to what he was, and it's like I'm glad that we didn't get to see Dustin looking like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think no matter how this ended, I think the best outcome possible was probably going to be we got a competitive good fight, and that's what we got. I think. And, um,
Yeah, especially because like Max is past it, but Max is still like
Max is
an
still
elite
close.
fighter,
Yeah,
while Dustin is like,
he's still definitely a title contender based upon just what he
yeah,
can do alone. But he's definitely physically past his best, and it's subtly kind of been that way for a while. I feel, but he's masked it with a lot of his like technical changes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of ridiculous discussion about quote what prime Holloway looks like, but I don't really think like with a fighter with Max's constant changes and like obvious like physical changes that like
yeah,
that's
for
something you can
sure.
easily parse down.
I feel like Max is so adaptable, and another thing that I touched on my podcast earlier is that I was saying how the big difference between like Max and Dustin as like all time great fighters is the big difference for me, because I feel like quality wise they are like kind of close. I would still put Max ahead of Dustin, but I think the biggest thing is that Max Holloway shows up every single time. Like he's
Yeah.
so consistently good, while Dustin, he was like he was not like you never know what you're going to get, but he was prone to having like off nights. He was not like Max Holloway has that all-time great consistency that very few fighters have.
Yeah, I think also Dustin just sometimes kind of fought to the level of his competition a bit just because of how he started fights a bit. So it sometimes
Yeah,
led to some problems happening where maybe they shouldn't have been. But usually when push came to shove, like when he got the chance to separate himself from guys that weren't as good as him, he always did. Um, and vice versa. Like if he only like the actual like legitimate and good guys have beaten him in the last few years.
yeah.
Like
I feel like Max like he has to fight he against that a little bit. Like you could see like in fights against like for example like Arnold Allen or Jair Rodriguez, like you can see at points that Max is like playing into their games, he's fighting to their abilities.
mhm.
But then Max like wakes up and he's like,
Yeah.
no, wait a second, I'm way better than these
Like
guys.
subtly, it's something that's always been on my mind for a year. Like Max Holloway, low key to me, has always been like a massive meathead, and
Yeah,
he's very good at hiding it. But like that dude not only loves to scrap, he gets so pissed off. Uh,
yeah, he has the right kind of like mean streak
yeah,
to.
he really has like that I don't for those of you who watch boxing, like the Ray Leonard like mean streak. Like, oh, I'm a very nice guy, but I will punch a hole through your fucking
Yeah,
throat when you make me mad.
a
Um,
lot a lot has been said about let's talk about Max a little bit so we can like do a farewell for Dustin later.
yeah,
A lot has been said about the power of Max Holloway. I feel like he was always an underrated puncher.
I
He's
agree.
punching he's punching harder for sure, but it's more by design, more than like putting on weight to make 155, more than oh he's unlocking like new mechanics. I feel like he's putting himself in better positions to deliver power right now.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's an adaptation, a conscious adaptation, because uh he doesn't want to put himself on the line going for the insane volume that he did. So he gotta make sure that when he picks his spots, those spots like account for more. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree. I mean, Max has always had like underrated pop. Like, I mean, even though Aldo got knocked out by McGregor, even still, Aldo proved pretty difficult to hurt from like throughout his run after McGregor beat him, anyways. And I mean, Max put him down with like a 1-2 combat in their
Yeah,
first fight and hurt him really consistently. And it wasn't just like mental disorienting.
he heard.
He legit got his attention.
Yeah, he heard Anthony Pettis with punches at one moment too, and
Oh
Pettis
yeah.
also a very
Oh
sturdy
yeah,
guy. So
great point. Yeah, you could say Pettis was weight drained, but like hurting Anthony Pettis, no fucking joke.
yeah,
And also like he got Dustin's attention a lot throughout that rematch, but I mean even like I think if you asked Volkanovski would go like, "Oh yeah, there were points where like Max got my attention pretty
oh
badly
yeah.
in all three fights."
Especially second fight. I think he. I mean, everyone remembers that he got rocked with the head kick, but I think he got like clipped with some decent punches too.
Yeah, there's like a few points outside of the uppercut knockdown where like
Oh yeah, yeah,
Volk kind of looks bothered. And like even in the third fight, which Volk dominated, there's a point where Volk stops taunting him, and it's like after Max lands like a very specific right
yeah.
hand, if I
He
recall.
goes like, okay, I'm having too much fun here. I
Yeah,
need to take this a bit more seriously.
yeah, I need to like, oh right, this guy's still really, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, I think Max has always been like a deceptive hitter, but he's definitely the kind of guy who hides it behind like a lot of things. Now, having said that, I do think actually in some ways his mechanics have gotten better over his career, which is also
And
helping show that
he's
more.
having his feet under him more, and that and I like I like Max. The thing about Max is that Max always had like very good pop on his like on his long punches, not only the 1-2, but also like the long overhand. But now he's getting positioned to deliver hooks, which I feel like the hooks from Max Holloway were always very dangerous.
Mhm.
But he was not fighting a style that was very conductive to finding big hooks. But if you go like way back, who was it? Like Akira Kurasani that he melted with hooks against the fence, and he put him out bad. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think Max's rear hand, especially getting a lot better in recent years, has always
yeah,
been like something that stood out to me. That's actually one thing like that he was doing in this fight against Dustin quite a bit because like we all know how Dustin likes to lead with his shifts with that feeler like uncommitted like rear hand in order to go for the like right hook. And so Max would like kind of go for kind of a sort of cross counter maneuver to shut it down.
yeah,
And then Dustin made him pay for that for the round 2 knockdown, but we can get to that later. But the other thing I've also noticed is like Max's left hook counter has been especially really useful in
yeah,
his last few.
yeah.
Like it gave Topuria a lot of fits. It gave Poirier a lot of fits here, and I think I don't know if it gave H some fits, but I wouldn't be surprised. Um, yeah, I think so. To answer the question, I don't think Holloway like hits harder, but I definitely think like mechanics wise, he's made some improvements.
I mean, there's probably some like obviously some some improvement in mechanics, which obviously means he's hitting harder. But I think the difference is not as big as people think.
No, I don't.
Um, Max did look like a lot bigger for this fight though,
Hmm.
and that's probably also helping for sure.
Yeah,
And that was probably a bad idea to like make that bulk for that Justin fight and then lose the weight again to go fight Topuria. So, man, I'm glad that Max is at 155 right now. Um, okay, so what would you like to see next for Max? Because like I feel like
um,
in our circle, like we're not big fans of a Topuria rematch like right away.
I mean, he's definitely still a guy who gives Taporia looks, and he's good enough that you can't count him out. But it's hard to like pick him, and I don't really think having him jump into that's the right thing now. I mean, all Oliveira's right there.
Yeah, we all want Oliveira,
After,
right?
I mean, that's the fight I think everyone wants, even though Oliveira just got knocked out pretty clean. I think that's the one most people would want to see. If not that, I don't know. Does Dan Hooker have a fight booked? Why not?
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah,
I don't think that Hooker has a fight, man.
yeah.
That
Because if
would be
we're
very
asking
fun.
for like exciting fights, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean you can always like make you can always make like every guy at the top of 155 beat on Michael Chandler too.
I mean,
You can make Max Holloway knock out Michael Chandler too. No,
yeah.
not really bad. But it wouldn't surprise me if the UFC made that actually.
Oh Jesus, yeah. I don't need to risk hearing a Michael Chandler self help speech again, and not even risk it. Yeah. I mean, I think basically like they should give Max Holloway like some guy in the top 10 who's like decently ranked. Like,
Yeah, I would say Oliveira, and like this is one that I've never heard anyone talk about, but like if you think about it, makes sense. Like put him like, against Paddy.
no, I was thinking that in the back of my mind, but I who knows what they'll do there. Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Okay, so let's get into Dustin. Let's talk first a little few things about the fight, and then we can talk. We can make like a short retrospective on his career.
Hmm.
So, one thing that I feel like Dustin obviously is still a puncher, still had good ideas. Uh, but I feel some issues were not like entirely related to him being slower. And one of the main ones is that I feel it, and I don't think I've heard another other guys talk about this, but I feel like uh Dustin is like a lot more timid about getting into exchanges. He wants to lead a lot more, and if you saw Dustin on his prime, like a lot more willing to counter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see like the big difference between this fight, because Max was trying to punish like Max Dustin in this fight against went with backing down with the Stonewall, and but on the first time, if you see like Dustin was giving fits with the Stonewall to Max because he was picking his spots to like plant his feet and actually block, put the elbow in the right places. And now
Mm-hmm.
Dustin was like, okay, I'm bailing out. I'm just putting the Stonewall. I'm backing up.
Yeah,
And he was,
Dustin's upper body movement with like defending behind his guard isn't as prevalent anymore. All right,
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
big part of it. Like in fight two, the big dynamic of that fight that made it so chaotic was like, even though Poirier's like defensive like guard was so difficult to get through, his footwork kind of messed him up a bit when he retreated. So Max was like zeroing in on it. The problem was he could never like get past the counter punching very safely.
yeah. That was the big difference. That on the second fight, Max was like, okay, he's retreating. I'm going to punish this. And Dustin eventually went like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to plant my feet. I'm going to block a few shots, and I'm coming back with a big right hook. And he was not willing to do that in this
Yeah.
fight.
But what's weird here is like kind of the inverse sort of happened a bit. Like this way around, like even though in fight two, Holloway backed him off a lot with counters, like here, like it was kind of the opposite. Like Poirier was trying to key in on like Holloway's like resets to attack him.
Yeah,
But he struggled a lot with the counter punching. So it was like a weird reversal of
yeah, it
things.
was. It was. Yeah.
But Poirier's main successes, I think, were like two main things in particular. I think like with his jab, which has always been like very underrated. I think you and I can both attest to Dustin Poirier
Yeah.
having low key one of the best jabs of the
Yeah,
last
a lot
like
of
10
people
years.
were surprised, and it was like, oh, the jab has always been there.
Oh, it's always been there. Like it's what won that first Gaethje fight. It's
In fact, I think the jab was like more notorious in this fight because he was not able to build off it.
mm-hmm,
So we were seeing like more jabs where if you go back to other fights like the first Justin Gaethje fight, the second Max fight, he was like using the jab and immediately setting up combinations. So you were like stuck with the right hook, with the straight
yeah.
left, more in your mind. Here was like he was stuck at just jabbing, and I feel like a bit of that was mental, right? Because a lot of times he was like double, triple jabbing, and he was like putting Max in bad reactive positions, and
Mm-hmm.
he was not like following up with the
Yeah,
left.
he had a great idea, like with the jab, because like what he would do is he would like kind of angle it out to like flick it out in order to like target Max's chest to like follow him whenever Max tried to guard or like weave, even so that way he could set Max up a lot easier, and that helped him a lot on the later rounds. But he usually found his success off of like the step ins in particular because he's very good at like flashing out the jab in kind of a stiff way that Taporia does to catch guys unaware, and that's usually some of the harder jabs to punish for most
Yep.
people. Um, I think like one thing I also would bring up is like how he set up the round two knockdown, which is where like he did the same like kind of thing he does where he feeds you like the rear hand, except that's not what he actually did. He actually like faked pulling it to bait out like the right hand from Max and then cracked him with the right hook
Yeah.
immediately. Like yeah, and he kind of did that actually throughout the fight to keep setting up the jab over and over again. It was a really really good decision.
And
I think.
that was actually a sequence where like Dustin decided to exchange in the pocket, right? Because like he actually threw like a rear hook in that sequence that he was not doing the rest of the fight. Like he was not getting into those close quarters.
Yeah,
Um,
I think though like there was definitely some issue pulling the trigger. I think Dustin was a bit afraid to exchange with Max, but also vice versa. I would say Max probably didn't know like oh okay, he's still the guy who hurt me in exchanges and fight too. Who knows
yeah,
if he can still do that?
and it turned out it turned out that he could.
Yeah. But I do think as well, I think despite those things, including like the decline and stuff, I do think Max made a very, very active effort to try to hand fight Poirier to prevent him from jabbing when they were planted quite a bit.
Yeah, this version of Dustin was like a lot easier to kick too,
Oh yeah.
because and that one is actually related to the speed because he was not like able to cover ground after getting kicked. So I feel like that was one thing, and Dustin was like at one moment in his prime, I would say like he's actually pretty good at like parrying kicks.
Hmm.
So it was not free to kick him, and he was also like very good at like just like jamming the distance and just hit you with the left hand. That's actually how he knocked out Justin Gaethje the first time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I have more to say on like things about Poirier in a minute that we can add to, but I think if I was to look at this fight holistically, not just like from like a technical point of view, but like an entire point of view, like and this is some stuff I wrote like in my small like here's my thank you to Dustin Poirier write up that I put on my Substack, but I think like first of all, I there was an interview Dustin Poirier did like actually with Ariel Helwani actually the other day that I think kind of confirmed this for me. But I got the impression last few years that Dustin Poirier kind of realized that, you know what, I didn't win a title technically, but that's a discussion for another minute, as you know. I kind of realized the journey was more worth it all the way. And that I got to prove myself by being competitive with the best still. So I think him going out while still being competitive with the best is a great way for him to go out. Oh,
yeah, for sure. I feel
even though like it sucks. I mean, he didn't get that last one, but on the other hand, and well, I hate to admit it, I do think it's good at the very least in this series between these two. Holloway at least got one because having 0-3 doesn't tell the full story of these fights. And this last fight was a pretty good one,
yeah,
despite it all.
it was like very good. Um, so yeah, no, so where I think like the thing with Dustin is that, and some people think that it's overrating him. Like Dustin obviously is not like I said, like he's like a step below a fighter from like Max Holloway in the all-time great conversation. But I still think like if you go by resume, his best streak, his wins, I think he ranks ahead many UFC champions as
Oh
an
yeah,
all-time great.
I mean, we're jumping. I'm jumping ahead of where I was going to go, but like every fight after that, Michael Johnson lost. Even like the lesser ones, like Miller and Saint Denis, like every one of them. Like you do not get like that kind of lineup unless like you're like the very top of the division, like one or two guy usually.
Yeah, even if, that's the thing, right? Like his last two wins, like Michael Chandler and Benoit Saint Denis, like quality wins actually.
Yeah, like so my first exposure to Dustin Poirier was when I saw his fight with Chan Sung Jung TKZ years ago. Oh, and I always remember just watching it and after like the third round after they finished beating the shit out of each other. Because that fight's fantastic for obvious reasons. It's frankly forgotten, unfortunately. But I always remember Dustin just kind of in his corner. He's like 23 in this fight. He's obviously
Yeah,
young. You can still tell he's struggling a little bit with confidence, but he's like very excitable and stuff. He's here to prove himself and to have the most fun and be the best he can be. And his corner's like, dude, you're in a fight of the night right now. This is awesome. And you could just see this like glow in his eyes at that moment.
yeah,
And it's so specifically endearing to me. I'll always remember that. And then like, but you could always tell for like all those like little years, Dustin just kind of like he didn't have like a lack of confidence or just like something like he gave up. No, he just panicked a lot. He had a lot of anxiety. He hadn't come into his own.
yep,
And then like you get to like these strings of like losses where he picks himself up and just gets better after each one. McGregor knocks him out. He gets better, starts beating the crap
yeah,
out of lightweights. Then he gets assassinated by Michael Johnson, who could be hot and cold and decided to be hot that one night.
yeah.
And then he goes on the fucking run of his life.
And that run is so good. Like a lot of champions would kill for a run like that. To be quite
I
honest.
yeah, again, it can't be emphasized enough. Dustin Poirier is the guy who got nervous a lot when he was in the fire, despite wanting to be there, and then to eventually being, in his words, like I'm the guy who can uncomfortable everyone who's
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah. I was about to get into that, right? Because you were saying like he was like enjoying that like Korean zombie fight, but you can tell like it was like kind of getting to him, right?
Yeah,
And it's the same. Like he was doing fine against McGregor the first time around. People forget like he showed up with like a decent game plan, but you could tell that he was so nervous in that fight.
yeah,
And I think it mostly contributed to the knockout that he was like so tense. Like when you're tense like that, like you're not in position to absorb shots, and and then you go from that to like fights where, for example, like the classic lineup like Eddie Alvarez, like Justin
but
Gaethje, like Dan Hooker.
before we even get there, like before he gets knocked out by MJ, even like he faces Bobby Green, and Bobby Green is an annoying guy for all guys, but you could tell like Poirier's coming into his own with like the poison stuff.
Yeah, because Bobby Green is poison for a guy that is like kind of insecure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he's good too, but Dustin kind of just like went through it and knocked him out. And the only reason like MJ kind of beat him is kind of just because MJ was better at the time, more or less. But then he comes back against Miller, and like Miller wasn't like elite, but he could make guys uncomfortable, and he sure as hell made Dustin uncomfortable with those kicks.
Yeah, he thrashed his leg. Like
And
Dustin couldn't even walk after
yeah,
that fight.
and then Dustin like manages to like score a fight-winning takedown in like third
Yeah,
round, which is the best
that's
decision.
insanely clutch. Like who the fuck does that, right?
Yeah, and but then like if you're testing that, so then he shows up against Eddie next, and like Eddie Alvarez, the quintessential like veteran, incredibly crafty guy, really scrappy, and Dustin is just tooling his ass.
Yeah,
Ass. And
the first fight, and that's where I think like when Eddie hurt him before the DQ on the first fight, like people were like, oh, Eddie was about to finish him. Like you cannot know because
yeah,
this is a different Dustin Poirier than the
yeah.
one that used to break.
And then you get their rematch later on where just like, I mean, even though McGregor sniped him, it's very different thing to snipe Eddie Alvarez out versus trying to finish him in a long sequence.
Yeah,
Eddie Alvarez,
that sequence is insane. Like
no, dude,
Dustin goes at him for like a minute.
yeah, and I mean, like a lot of guys would have like been finished like at the very start of that sequence, but Eddie Alvarez, even like one who's a veteran, is just a crazy survivor. But the
Yeah,
fact that Dustin took him out and the way
it
he
was
took
so
him out,
impressive. Yeah.
yeah, and like I mean, he did get that one little low blow back at one point,
It
but
was.
that doesn't matter.
Yeah, because and that's funny because like after seeing like that finish against like Justin and against like Eddie and shit, um, then years later, like I was very nervous for the second McGregor fight.
Yeah,
But when he was started unloading against the cage, I was not scared about Dustin Poirier gassing in that sequence. I knew it was over for McGregor. It was like Conor doesn't have it in him to survive an onslaught for Dustin Poirier. He's going to
yeah.
die here.
No, like
That was exactly what happened.
yeah, it's like as Poirier went on, just like him becoming such an insane finisher, even in a division that like had Oliveira in it, and it like where it's actually a competition between who was probably the better one by the time they fought really says a lot. And so
Yeah,
then like but there was like other stuff even before we get to that Holloway rematch, but like he meets Pettis, former champion, out grapples him, busts him up on the ground in a really wild scramble
that's so good.
instant.
Yeah,
Yeah, that fight's awesome too. Even all-time I'm Paul Felder commentary line. And these guys are mixing some DNA right now.
yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, and then there's the Gaethje fight, which I think if there was a fight that basically like told you that Dustin Poirier had finally come into his own, it was that fight.
Yeah, because that was when I knew this was a different Dustin Poirier because like when Justin started like to turn around the fight with the leg kicks, like I remember the discourse like watching on Twitter live, everyone was like, okay, Dustin is done. he's not the kind of to make a comeback. But Dustin didn't need a comeback. Like he was getting his leg kicked, but he has been boxing the shit out of Justin Cage to that moment,
Yeah,
and it's the fact that Justin made it to so late into the fight that was like weirder actually.
yeah. I mean, I'm simplifying that fight a lot, and I mean, obviously, because it's
Yeah,
one of the best
obviously.
fights ever. But like, literally, that's the fight right there that shows. Okay, you can pressure Dustin Poirier, you can cut off the cage and punish his footwork and put him in bad positions, but that doesn't mean he's fucked.
And
'Cause-
and there's the other thing that Dustin Porter talking about, like for example, like Flinner in the chat, hello man, he's mentioning the Duffy fight.
Good
Like
call.
if Dustin needs to find an answer in his prime, he's going to do it. Like he's not like everyone talks about like, oh, Dustin Porter the boxer, but Dustin Porter is a dangerous guy everywhere.
Yeah,
Like Gaethje was considered like a monster inside the clinch till that moment. Dustin landed a huge elbow on Justin Gaethje there.
yeah. Dustin
uh,
competed with Oliveira a bit in the clinch too.
yeah, and
Ew.
I feel like later into his career he lost a bit of confidence in his clinch, which his clinch is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw in that second Max fight. For example, I post the clip of that foot sweep right from the double collar ties,
Yeah.
but also the knees in transitions that he tried to do a little bit of that here in the third fight, but like the key knee that he landed on that fourth round against Max that like made the
Mm-hmm.
huge gash on his head.
Yeah, that
Uh,
stopped the momentum in a round that was like getting really scary for
yeah,
him.
he was like punishing like Jim Miller, Anthony Pettis, Joe Duffy. He was like taking it to them inside the clinch against those guys. So
Yeah.
the very creative, like those like side hammer fists that he was landing on that hooker against the fence.
Yeah, I
Those were
mean,
great.
yeah, I mean, like it's crazy because like the thing about like Dustin that always amazes me is like like Poirier always like surprised guys in like realms that you wouldn't expect. Like I saw a lot of people for years like acting like he was like lightweight Condit with his wrestling defenses and grappling, and that always was ridiculous. Like he definitely had like footwork issues, but like his wrestling was pretty good. His grappling was always underrated. Just see what he did to poor old Mr. Mikey Chandler self help booklet
Yeah,
extraordinaire.
people forget. I like and yeah, like Chandler top game him, and he had to like use every shit under the sun to keep him on the ground.
With no
But like,
hips.
but people forget that Eddie Alvarez took Chandler's back, couldn't choke him out. Charles Oliveira took Chandler's back, couldn't choke him out. Paddy Pimblett
Good
took
point.
the back of Michael Chandler, couldn't choke him out. Who
Great
did choke
point.
him out? Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Like in the words of Dustin himself, who ain't got jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. No, the crazy part about Dustin is always like I said, like surprising, like going back to like his striking, especially though, like the scariest thing about Dustin that has always freaked me out about him as like a pocket boxer, where he's obviously one of the best in MMA history, is like he was such a sharp, specific puncher that he could just fucking own you even from a position you wouldn't expect.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That was like the big narrative I feel about the both his biggest wins, right? The Conor 2 and the Max 2 fights
mhm.
was like when Conor and Max were like, oh, he fucked up with the footwork. This is where I get going, and Dustin
Right hook,
and
right
Dustin
hook,
is like, wait,
right hook goes burr,
right hook.
and then he
But
like points and laughs at Connor, like, "Gotcha."
yeah, and you can tell like Dustin was very nervous on that second Conor fight because it obviously like winning against Conor at the time was like life changing stuff, and
Hmm.
and he was nervous early.
Yeah,
And then when he got that first like clean right hook and he pointed at Connor, he
he
was like,
knew.
"Okay, I got this bitch."
Yeah, it was so cool too, just because like I mean, like no matter how what you think of Conor McGregor and like the fact that both of us are like obvious Dustin Poirier fans, like thinking about it like narratively, like how McGregor was that guy who got in his head all those years ago, and
Yeah.
now he's giving it back. Heck, and also like, oh, you got me in a bad spot. Too bad. And it was so cool. And there's nothing to say about that finish that isn't already said. Good old Luke Thomas had all of our reactions for that day.
Yeah, getting back into the chat, like Dr. Jones mentions, like Dustin like hitting those body shots on Islam, right? That was crazy. Like,
Dude, yeah.
and when you have you seen when Islam goes to congratulate Dustin after the fight, and like he says like he said like, look what you done to me, like, and Islam face is a mess there, like,
yeah.
But if you look at him, like, his ribs were all fucked up from those body shots.
I always wish Dustin was more of a prolific body puncher because, like,
because like, he's so good when he does it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think even he said, like, sometimes I kind of just enjoyed punching people in the face too much. If I remember.
yeah, because Dustin has like at times I felt like he was. I always felt when he was on that run that he was at one moment like about to turn into like this like killer body puncher, and at the end he never did it. But it was like, in the Max 2, he landed some nice body shots, some long left hands to the body. He was landing. I'm not sure if he landed some right hooks. I feel he did in some like pocket exchanges too. He landed to the body against Max too. Yeah, he landed that nasty one against Benoit Saint Denis, and huge right hook to the body in that one.
Yeah, I mean, what do we even say about that Max 2 fight that we couldn't say already? One of the best fights ever, but also like wasn't Volkanovski who stopped Holloway's winning streak? Nope, it was good old Dustin Poirier.
It was Dustin Poirier, yeah.
It took Volkanovski 10 more rounds before he could fuck up Max's face that bad.
Yeah.
And I love Volkanovski, and that third fight is one of the best.
It's one of the best performances of MMA history.
But he wasn't the first one to make Max look like he had blood on his face. Not like that.
Yeah, that was insane. I think that's I feel people take away from that win because like, oh, Max was a featherweight, but Max was always a featherweight and also like insane cardio, so that's a scary dude to fight over 5 rounds.
Yeah,
and I like and to be fair, like Max on that second fight, sure he couldn't take the punches from Dustin Poirier, like who can take the punches?
I mean, who can take that many? Like who can?
Yeah. But
well, Dan Hooker could a few years ago, but we'll get to that.
But against the argument of like, oh, Max was like too small for Dustin, and like yeah, there's a bit of that, but also like Dustin went for a takedown against the cage, and Max Holloway looks so fucking strong.
Dustin said that too in an interview I heard.
He was surprised that his legs were so strong. Yeah, he said, yeah.
Yeah, also in the clinch too, like there are points against the cage where Max turns him and it starts fucking him up there. Like I mean, we could talk all day about how insane that fight is, honestly. Like just it's impossible not to just gush about it. But yeah, I think what ultimately helped Poirier is like he's the first one who Max ever ran into who could not only like trade with him on his own turf, but like could be sharper in that exact first layer just enough. And
the thing about Dustin too was that he was the only one until Volkanovski that was able to like ride the momentum. And actually, Volkanovski did not do that on that first fight. He was like just completely avoiding those like waves from Max Holloway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could see like fighters have had very good moments against Max Holloway, and they don't translate into anything. Going back to exactly the same 2 fights that I already mentioned, Yair Rodriguez and Arnold Allen, like they had very good moments at times, and it didn't matter at all. He didn't change the momentum of the fight. Yeah, but when Dustin, every little bit of success that Dustin had, he was like, "I'm taking this to the bank right now." Like,
yeah. I mean, he knew too, because like as that fight went on, like it just got so stressful, and like it really took him like getting that knee later on to be able to say, okay, I can ride this out, but it's still going to be tough. But like because there are still points like where Max is just on the verge of overtaking that fight.
Yeah, and on
And
that
that's
fifth
so
round,
scary.
and on that fifth round, like like Max wanted to just like let go with with a 100 punch combo, but Poirier was like, okay, I gotta relax here. I'm going to get
Mhm.
behind my jab. I'm going to pick my spots. I'm going to deny the exchanges in this part.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Doc Jones, just about Dustin being an underrated minute winner. Yeah, especially like behind like the jab, like the second he gets that going.
Yeah,
Like, I think
and
Dustin, like when he like could flip that switch, like when he was on and recognized it, like yeah, he pushed for it. Like and I think the Hooker fight's a great example of that because it's like, oh, this guy's pushing me hard. Well, I'm gonna push him right friggin' back.
yeah, and that one, I mean, that's the one that we haven't talked about, but that Hooker fight is fucking insane.
Dude, I think I mean honestly, how many other fighters would survive the first 10 minutes of that fight? Not just for like one guy, but both of them.
I'm so glad that they used that soundbite of him like saying, "I'm having a blast." In
you,
the corner,
you
it's so good.
you know a fight's crazy. Like when like Michael Bisping, who has probably seen a lot of fights, is like literally screaming in the background, going, "What in the hell is going on?"
Michael Bisping was having the time of his life.
Yeah, because like
I don't blame.
Bisping can be an exaggerative commentator, but like
No, that was the level of hype necessary for that
yes,
footage.
I mean, not like Hooker tried to literally chin bully him and had good legitimate tactics to like maximize his game. And it didn't fucking matter because he wasn't fighting an uncomfortable Dustin Poirier that didn't give a shit about being uncomfortable anymore. Or
Yeah, that this is not to aggrandize Poirier, but that might be like the best performance of Hooker's career, to be honest.
yes.
He looked so good in that fight.
Oh yeah. Like he had the right game plan and everything, and just like
Like people are not going to rate that win that highly because like Dan Hooker has been on and off after that. But on that night, Dan Hooker was
dude,
like a bad dude,
dude, what
man.
Hooker was doing to Dustin against the fence, like with the body shots
Oh
and those
my!
knees,
I have no idea how Dustin ended up like cardio bullying him down the
yeah,
road
it
because
was
those
probably the body kicks mainly, but like, yeah. Speaking of being having
Dustin
ridiculous,
was landing some nasty body kicks on
yeah,
Hooker. Yeah,
and he would follow up with like the overhands too. That would just make Hooker's head spin out. Jesus Christ! No wonder Hooker's chin was never the same after that fight.
yeah.
Yeah, the yeah, like Dustin's cardio as well. Nothing can be said about that. Dude might be the best fighting tired fighter ever.
Yeah, Dr. Jones makes a great point. Like, has Dustin ever been hurt to the body? Like wincing in pain? No. Obviously, the body shots from Hooker and from Charles Oliveira were taking a toll. But I still think it is insane that neither guy was able to like even like make him grab his tummy for a second.
Yeah, I think like only three guys have an argument for like saying, oh, like I bothered him to the body, but like I don't think like anyone made him wince that much. Like outside of that one like big knee Oliveira hits him with early, like that kind of makes him go like that for a second.
Yeah,
And I do not remember for the life of me where he just like
he
looked
was
like
like I was like so surprised that like because Max is also underrated popping his kicks. And he was
yeah.
eating those body kicks that were a great tactic, like Ryan Wagner did an article about that.
Yeah, he
But
was saying like that was a good one to Max, which means that he did feel it and knows how bad
yeah,
they
but
were.
he was like the reactions were so small. Like those
Yeah.
were disgusting body kicks, and he didn't even get tired. Yeah, he was insane actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's oh my god. He's ridiculous. Um yeah, yeah, and then like so after the Hooker fight there were the McGregor fights. We already went about those. Owning Michael Chandler, I think we brought that up.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to really talk much about the Khabib Ebe and Oliveira losses that much outside of saying like I think it's a testament to him even though those were kind of like more cold showings from him or he just met someone who was just better and a level
yeah,
above him.
yeah.
He
I
still had
feel like
moments.
I, I said in my podcast, like I'm not saying that Dustin wins those fights, but it's clear that those were not like his best performances. Like
Yeah.
especially the Habib one. The Habib one was straight up bad, and he still
Still
put
hurt him.
Habib puts Habib in the two worst places basically of his career.
Mhm.
Because like Habib doesn't give praise to anyone for free, and he said like the guillotine was close. He said it
Yeah,
was the only time that he was close to tapping in his career. He said it was that guillotine against Dustin Poirier.
that fucking guillotine, man.
And
Yeah,
people clown on Dustin because he never got the gilly, but like, yeah, it is a silly tactic to jump guard, but like, I mean, it's the word is out there. Like Dustin is tapping black belts in ATT all the time with the guillotine. That's the reason he wants so bad, because he knows it is good. The thing is that he has been fighting like insanely good fighters.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even in the times where he's lost, he's still looked good. Like the Oliveira fight, like round one. Oh my god, round one of that fight.
Yeah,
Jesus
Dr. Jones,
Christ.
that's a great point. People, I've heard people say like, oh, he has like actually his guillotine is so bad. Like, nah, it's actually not
No.
bad. It's a good guillotine. Like it's a good guillotine. It's funny because the guillotine that Connor had on Dustin was pretty good too. That would be insane if Connor got that, man. I would still be sad if that happened.
Yeah.
No, but it's there's a video of Masvidal in the crowd. Like, Masvidal, who also has like a very good like gym guillotine, and he's watching live the third fight between Conor and Dustin. As soon as Dustin puts his head on the ground, Masvidal is like, "Oh, Conor is not getting this." like, he's like, "I never get the guillotine on Dustin when he goes to the ground like that." Like he's getting out like 100%. Like he was so confident about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's the big thing about Dustin Poirier, just in a nutshell. Like there's so much we can say about him, but like even though he wasn't like legitimately like the best in the world, I mean, you could argue technically him versus McGregor for that rematch probably should have been the real title belt instead of Oliveira Chandler, but different discussion. But that win over Holloway, I don't know about anyone else. That's as fucking legit a title win
Yeah,
as you can get.
yeah. I think the moment Habib retired, you could argue that Dustin Poirier was the best lightweight in the world in that moment.
Yeah, and it wasn't
So
until Oliveira beat him where like that
yeah,
was in doubt. But like, yeah, I think it says a lot like about him, not just as a fighter, but like also just like as a competitor. Like no one besides McGregor and Chandler has really said anything negative about him. But you're looking at like the two most self-aggrandizing people.
and
Lightweight.
and Chandler really wants to be like Dustin's pal. Dustin is not on board, but like Chandler, he did it for a bit, and Conor probably too. Like Conor is insane. Like you
Yeah.
could tell before the second fight that Conor actually liked Dustin. Like everyone likes Dustin.
And then he got bitter because he lost.
Yeah,
Both.
he went insane because he got punked.
Yeah. Yeah, getting knocked out for the first time and you're like legit knocked out.
Yeah,
But
it's any fight you're sad we didn't get to see about Dustin.
um
For me, there's like three, and two are actually like very easy wins for Dustin. I feel, but I still wanted to see them. I really wish I got to see like Dustin beating the shit out of Nate Diaz and Cowboy Cerrone.
yes, dude. Oh my god.
And the one that would be competitive, and I still think Dustin wins, is against Tony. That would have been
Yeah.
so fucking good. Yeah.
That fight would have been awesome, but Tony would have gotten fucked up.
Yeah. But that's way more winnable for Tony than like Nate and Cowboy, who
Yeah.
would get like.
I know someone would probably bring up RDA, but I kind of suspect RDA would kind of be able to mitigate that fight, but it'd be scary at a few points.
Oh yeah, that would be actually good. Yeah, but RDA is like next level top game, so he can probably win like that. So
Yeah. I know I'm forgetting one. Who is it?
Felder would have been very fun too.
Felder would have been very fun. Oh my god, who is it? I'm forgetting. If he fought Fiziev like a few years ago, I think that would have been very fun.
Oh, that would have been fire. That was rumored for a time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm forgetting a really obvious one. I cannot remember who it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's funny that the list is so short
Yeah,
that he gave us like
he
everything
he
we wanted.
fought
Yeah.
he fought everybody. Like, I mean,
Like Jack's like made like a great point about like Mighty Mouse is like, okay, sure, Mighty Mouse, like you had like a lot of title defenses, but you were fighting like Chris Carriazo and John Moraga, and Dustin Poirier was fighting Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, and
yeah, because like, I mean, love DJ, amazing fighter. He didn't want to fight TJ Dillashaw. I'm sorry, but he didn't want to, and I'll always
nah,
hold that against him.
yeah. Okay,
But
so uh we uh I haven't talked this with you, but probably like we should watch some Dustin Poirier fights and make some alternate commentary for the guys.
I think
Uh,
so. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll get into that, and also I'll be doing also a live marathon, so we can watch like Dustin fights someday,
Hmm.
hopefully soon. But yeah, we won't be over thanking Dustin Poirier anytime soon. I think so.
No.
We can get